Hi, this is Stella from Chasing Waters, back with another video. If you feel like being creative, feel free to grab something to draw or paint, or get yourself a glass of water, tea, whatever you want, and enjoy the video. I started this painting off with an idea, which I assume is how we all start our new projects. If you saw my last video, I painted a painting and I basically wanted to make a male version of that. If you haven't seen that video yet, check it out in the corner here. I always start my whole process with finding references for my sketches. I try out different angles and styles to see what I like the best. I don't normally draw men, but for this specific idea, I really wanted to have both a man and a woman, similar type of style portraits, but in similar colors, but complementary. So I think it's fun to challenge yourself and to do stuff you don't normally do. I think it's important to get out of your comfort zone and actually try new things and see if you actually like them. Sometimes you try to paint something or try something and you actually really thoroughly end up enjoying it. So it's very important to figure out where you can expand and where you can actually teach yourself new things or new techniques. Always be open to learning, not restricting yourself. It's always fun to have your own style and, be recognized for that style. But as you can see with any type of artist from the whole world and history, their styles always change, and it's because you always change and how you see the world is always changing. So I think you have to be open for new ideas to come through and explore them. Some of them are going to be great, others are not, but if you don't try it, you'll never know. In relation to what I was talking about before, I have this book called The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rubin. I got it after seeing an interview of him, and I'd never actually heard about him before, but he's a genius. Sometimes I post, inspirational pages from it on my Instagram, so follow me on Instagram if you want to keep up to date with books I get and, whatever is happening. Anyways, there was a book that really resonated when it came to the idea of trying new things. So I'm going to try to find it for you so I can, say it in his words. Okay, so in regards to what I was talking about previously, I remembered the chapter of rules, and this one is on page 94. Their chapters are usually only a couple of pages long, but I wanted to read a few snippets from it. A rule is any guiding principle or creative criterion. It might exist within the artist, the genre, or the culture. Rules, by their nature, are limitations. The laws of math and science are different from the rules we are looking at here. The rules artists learn are different. They are assumptions, not absolutes. They describe a goal or a method for short-term or long-term results. They are there to be tested, and they're only of value as long as they are helpful. They are not laws of nature. And then it goes on, but the point is that sometimes you create rules for yourself, you have a certain type of style, or you draw something specific, and it can work for you for a while, but it could be limiting. So what it's basically saying is that you might have rules for yourself and the way you create things and the order in which you do stuff, but it's also important to remember that rules are always to be broken in the creative spectrum, and that you can give yourself that space to experiment and try new things without ruining anything. It could actually be something really helpful. So the point is that you might have created rules for yourself based on the specific style you have and based on what you typically create, but it's also important to get away from that and actually create things outside of that so that you can actually experiment and evolve. Although I'm constantly going back and forth when it comes to social media and what I think about it, I do love that it gives me glimpses of other artists' processes. And this gives me inspiration to try new things and new techniques. For a long time, I've had the habit of sketching out my paintings with a pencil on the canvas, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I do think, however, that the technique works well in smaller scales, simply because the line that the pencil makes is very thin. But when it comes to bigger scales, this thin line becomes more fixed in a way, more permanent. So what I did with this painting was to create a rough sketch of the painting with a painting brush. This way I could also highlight different shapes with different colors. And by using a brush instead of a pencil, I could easier map out the shapes and the sizes of the painting. And I think it went quicker this way, and also I got more of an overview of all of the shapes in the painting. So I thought I was done with sketching out the whole painting with my painting brush, and I had a closer look at it and I was like, nah. So I did some more, mostly so I would know where the outlines were and to make them very clear so that I knew exactly where to start painting. And if you usually do oil paint, you know that you have to be more intentional with where you put it, because it does take forever to dry. When I finished the first layer for real this time, I left it alone for the rest of the day. This way it could completely air dry to the next day. If you're enjoying the video so far, remember to like and subscribe so you can see more videos in the future. Hi, this is a new day. I woke up pretty enthusiastic and prepared to make this painting. When people want to start creating art, they often like to imagine a style they want to embody. And everybody should have inspiration. That's pretty healthy. But you'll see that the more you create art, the more your style will naturally develop. And without really thinking too much of it, you'll get a more recognizable style. But in the long run, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you'll start to feel more stagnant, more bored. Therefore, it's super important to experiment, to dip your toes into unknown waters, to extract some things or add some things, to try textures you never tried before, to use materials and colors you usually don't use, or to switch up the way you do your process, or gaining inspiration from a different source than what you've done before. There are endless of ways to switch things up. Not only is it possible that you will discover something new that you like, or maybe you'll just figure out what you absolutely don't like, but in the end, it'll give you a sense of drive and push you to create new things. When I was younger, I would create loads of art. At some points, I would be drawing every day. If you're older than Gen Z and have been an art enthusiast for a while, you probably remember DeviantArt, which is still a website where you can share your artworks with other creatives online. It was around the golden era of Tumblr, where people also would share their art, but DeviantArt was more artist-specific. And there I was gaining inspiration from loads of other artists. But I didn't really think I had a specific style. I was just trying out different things and doing my best. It was only when I had an art exam in high school that the exam teacher told me I had a distinct style, which was my red thread throughout my works. And it was like a light bulb just lit up. I was looking at him like, really? And it's funny how that happens, how it kind of sneaks up on you. And also how it changes throughout the years, or becomes more evident. I personally think everyone has an art style to begin with, even when you're drawing stick figures. You can still distinguish your stick figures from other ones. But the more you work on it, the more evident and recognizable it becomes. It really comes to light with time and experimentation. So I'm still missing another layer on this painting and to fill in the background. But this is how it's looking so far after one layer of paint. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I want to thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the finished painting and other future videos by subscribing, and I hope to see you next time.